What if I told you that one of the most joyful letters ever written wasn't penned in some paradise, but from inside a prison cell? Well, today we're going to dive into a short, ancient letter that holds this powerful, kind of paradoxical secret to finding joy no matter what's going on around you.
Right out of the gate, we get this. And look, this isn't some gentle suggestion. It's a command, and he says it twice just to make sure you heard him. It's bold, it's absolute, and honestly, when you find out where the author, the Apostle Paul, is writing from, it becomes just baffling.
So that's the big question, right? That's the mystery we're going to unpack together. How on earth could a man in chains whose future is totally up in the air write a letter that is just dripping with joy? What did he know that maybe we don't? Let's find out.
All right, first things first, we gotta set the scene. This isn't just any old prison. We're talking about Roman custody, around the year 62 AD. And the difference between Paul's reality and his message, well, it's just staggering.
Okay, just look at this. On one side, you've got the grim reality. Paul's been locked up for years, he's literally chained to a guard 24/7, and he has no idea if he's gonna be executed or set free. But then, on the other side, you have the words he's actually writing, telling his friends that they are his joy and crown, commanding them to rejoice, teaching them about a peace that makes no logical sense. This isn't denial, folks. This is something else entirely.
But here's the thing. This letter isn't some high and mighty philosophical text from a guy who's detached from real life. Nope. Paul immediately rolls up his sleeves and gets right into some very real, very messy human drama that's happening back at the church.
He calls out two women, Euodia and Syntyche, by name. Now, these weren't just random people. They were key leaders who had worked right alongside him, but now they're in a public fight. And you gotta notice the language he uses. He says, I plead with them. The Greek word here, parakaleo, means to come alongside someone, to comfort or encourage them. He's not scolding them from his high horse. He's gently trying to pull them back into unity.
And from that one specific conflict, the letter kind of zooms out to tackle a conflict we all know way too well. The battle with anxiety. What Paul gives us next is, honestly, a stunningly practical guide for finding peace, even when the world is chaotic. The word Paul uses for anxious is so incredibly descriptive. It's merimnile, which literally means to be pulled in different directions. I mean, isn't that the perfect picture of what worry feels like? It just tears us apart. Paul doesn't dismiss this feeling at all. He looks it right in the eye before offering this radical, four-step alternative.
So here it is, the playbook. First, choose joy. And the way it's written in the Greek implies this isn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous action. Keep on rejoicing. It's a discipline, not just a feeling. Second, take all those things that are pulling you in a million directions and channel them into prayer. But, and this is key, do it with thanksgiving. Third, the result is this peace that transcends all understanding, a peace that acts like a guard for your heart and mind. And fourth, you've got to do the mental work.
And for that last step, Paul doesn't just say, hey, think good thoughts. Oh no, he gets super specific. He says you have to be intentional about what you allow to take up space in your head. It's like tending a garden. He gives us this filter, this checklist for our thoughts. Actively choose to dwell on what's true, what's noble, what's right, what's pure, and on and on. It's not about ignoring your problems, it's about choosing your focus.
Okay, so all of this mental discipline, this spiritual practice, it all leads directly to the absolute core secret of this entire letter, a secret that Paul says he had to figure out the hard way.
You have got to pay close attention to that word learned. The Greek is emathon, and it implies this was not some natural talent he was born with. He had to learn this. He probably failed at it a bunch of times first. For Paul, contentment is a hard-won skill, something he developed through practice in the trenches of suffering and need.
They have to understand, back in Paul's day, this idea of contentment was a huge deal, especially for the Stoic philosophers. Their big idea was something called autarkia, or self-sufficiency. It meant finding all the strength you need from within yourself to rise above your circumstances. So Paul takes this really popular idea and gives it a revolutionary twist.
Check this out. The Stoic says, I have enough strength inside me to be unaffected by whatever the world throws at me. But Paul says, whoa, my strength doesn't come from me at all. It comes from an outside source, from Christ. And it's a strength that works in my circumstances, not just above them. It's a completely radical redefinition of what power is. And this all builds up to one of the most famous and maybe most misunderstood phrases in the entire Bible. See, to an audience living under the boot of the Roman Empire,
The Greek phrase panta ischilo, I can do all things, or I have strength for all things, would have been shocking. I mean, this was the kind of language Roman emperors used to describe their own limitless power. So Paul is making this incredibly subversive claim that true, unstoppable power doesn't belong to Caesar. It belongs to the one who is strengthening him while he's in chains.
So then Paul takes this huge idea and applies it to something really practical, a financial gift the church in Philippi had sent him. But believe me, this is way more than just a simple thank you note.
Right, so in the Roman world, gifts were all about power. If someone important gave you something, you were indebted to them. Paul just flips that whole system on its head. He uses business language. He calls their gift a koinonia, a partnership. He's basically saying, you guys aren't my patrons, you're my partners. We are co-investors in this incredible mission.
And you can tell he is way more excited about what their gift means for them than what it means for him. He calls it a fragrant offering to God. And, get this, using accounting language, he says it's like fruit that increases to your account. He's telling them that their generosity is an eternal investment that's paying spiritual dividends for them. So, just as he's wrapping up the letter with his final greetings, Paul slips in one little detail, a final sentence that must have landed like an absolute bombshell on its very first readers. He says, "All God's people here send you greetings, especially those who belong to Caesar's household." Just let that sink in for a second. I mean, are you kidding me? From his prison cell, Paul isn't just surviving, he's watching this message about a crucified and risen king spread into the most unlikely place imaginable. The staff, the servants, the administrators of the emperor himself. It's the ultimate proof that the kind of hope he's writing about cannot be chained up. It had reached the very heart of worldly power.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Paul's secret wasn't some trick for changing his circumstances. It was the discovery that real contentment isn't about getting a life that's free from problems. It's about finding a source of strength that is more than enough for the life you've actually been given.